Hello everyone, and welcome to a video on the Casio CT-X3000 keyboard. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to use the keyboard as a drum machine because it occurred to me it's a very sophisticated drum machine compared to the kind of machines I used to have, like the Yamaha RX21, and I also had the RX21L, which was the Latin version. And this is a book of rhythm patterns that came with the 21, and I had a go at the other day at programming some of these patterns into the Casio. Let's just have a brief listen to some of these. So there you are, some of the rhythm patterns that I've programmed from this book. You'll notice that these rhythm patterns are actually just one bar. So the sophistication of this keyboard, where we can have many more bars or measures per rhythm pattern. We've got 4 variations, we've got 4 fills, we've got an intro, we've got an ending, and there are other features as well which I'd like to show you as well. For instance, we've got the phrase pads, and these could be rhythms that augment any rhythm patterns that you've got running here. Like that. And also, if you go to, if I show you some rhythm patterns here, if I play one, which we're going to program in the video. Okay, a very simple pattern, and I'm just using the standard drum set. I've copied this set of patterns into the next memory slot, and take a listen to this. It's exactly the same rhythm, but with a different drum set. So a lot of features within the keyboard, whether you play the keyboard or not, from a rhythm point of view, that I think is really useful. So what we're going to do in the video is we're going to create an intro, and then 4 variations, and 4 fills, and an ending. So it'll probably take quite a while. It's a little bit fiddly, but you'll get to see how you've got to operate the various functions within the keyboard. Before we do that, let's just take a listen to the set that we're going to do. So this is an intro followed by variation 1, and each variation has a fill as well. Let's have a listen. And you'll notice that when it played the fill, it cuts in to the main variation. So my variation patterns are 2 bars long. And then they cycle or loop. But when I press the fill button, if I press that early within that 2-bar cycle, it will just immediately switch to the fill, which is a 1 bar or a 1 measure pattern. Again, quite flexible, and something you can utilize when you're playing the keyboard. So you're not stuck with just a 2 measure loop that's going round and round, and then it switches to the fill. That fill will jump in at any point. So let's have a go at creating a whole set of drum patterns. I'm going to provide the score or the music notation, just like in the book, using pretty much standardized drum notation. And then I'll also do a grid and I'll provide a link to where you can get the copies of those if you want to have a go at it yourself, or if you just want to follow along with the video and do it from the video, then I'm sure that will work as well. First of all, I'm going to delete the set that I've already got here so that we're starting from a blank slate, and you might want to be doing the same sort of thing. So I thought I'd show you that first of all. So if you do press on the record stop button, a long press, then it comes up with various menu options, rhythm name, copy and clear. I'm using the 1 and the 3 on the keypad to scroll or move along the line. So I want to clear this, so leave it on clear and then press enter, which is number 6 on the keypad. It says, are you sure? I say yes, which is number, it's not a number, it's just a plus on the keypad. You say yes to that. And now 341 has no data in it, so we can now program all the rhythms that we need. So the way to do that is again with this record stop button. Actually, no, before we do that, the first thing we've got to do is press edit, because we're editing this pattern. So a long press on the function edit button. And then it comes up with drum 2 or 2 drum. So the drum part or the drum track is number 2 of a set of percussion is number 1, drum is 2, 3 is bass, and then the other 5 are chord parts that you might be recording for an accompaniment. In this video, I'm just going to be doing a drum track. That's all we're going to be doing. So I'm going to leave it on drum 2. On the screen it's flashing number 2, and it's also flashing V1, which means variation 1. So I don't want to record variation 1 first, I'm going to actually record the intro. So to select that, I just press the intro button down here. And now it's flashing I on the screen. And then now what we need to do is decide how many beats and how many measures we're going to be recording. So you press registration number 8. Briefly it says menu, and then it goes to element. And using the arrows 1 and 3, there's also part and rhythm. You can ignore those. We want it to say element, and then we're going to press enter. And here we can set the measure, the number of bars for this pattern. Each pattern can have its own length and its own beat. So again, quite sophisticated for a keyboard drum machine. I'm going to leave it on 1 measure, and I'm going to leave it on number 3, which actually refers to 4/4. If you press briefly the function edit button, you'll see that a value of 3 produces a time signature of 4/4. And if you scroll through the various values here, you'll see the different time signatures come up, 2/8, 3/8. These are all the different time signatures you can use, and these are the values that you need to set them to. I'm going to leave it on 3, so the beat value is 3, which means 4/4. And if I go back to 2 drum by pressing exit, I'm going to first of all do a short press, and it says that it's empty because I haven't recorded anything yet. Then I'm going to do a long press on record stop. And again, a few more settings to sort out. Quantize, pre-count, play chord, metronome, and then back to quantize. So I want the metronome on, and I want a pre-count of 1 bar, and I want to set the quantize value. I'm going to first of all record a hi-hat part, which is just this note down here. If you forget which notes belong to which rhythm sounds, remember you've got little icons on the bottom of the screen which might remind you as well. Again, if you press the function button, it'll switch to a value here as well. So quantize, when it's on 2, is going to quantize the notes to the nearest quarter note, or crotchet. But if I use the wheel to change different values, quantize values come up, and 1 is even off as well. So I'm going to put it to 2 because this hi-hat part is just playing on each beat, and I want it to be absolutely precise. Now we're ready to record. So start, stop. And it just cycles around the record. If you make a mistake, you can press, hold down the registration button 2 and then press the note or notes that you made a mistake with, and let it cycle through the pattern, and then it will delete those particular notes. But we've got our hi-hat part recorded. The next thing we're going to do is record a little tom-tom fill, which sort of goes like that. And you'll notice maybe that it's 16th notes. So now I'm going to record this with 16th notes as my quantize. So when I do a short press, it says it's recorded, which is correct. When I do a long press, now we can change the quantize value. And we're going to turn that to 16th notes, which is a value of 8. And then press start to start the recording and stop when we're finished. So here we go. And then press stop, and that's recorded. And now I'm just going to kind of keep going. I'm going to record variation 1, followed by fill 1, variation 2, followed by fill 2, and so on until we get a complete set of rhythms, patterns along here. So I probably won't talk too much unless there's a mistake along the way. So I'm going to do a variation 1 pattern, so I can press variation 1. I can leave it on 2 drum. I can press registration 8 if I wanted to change the measure, which is something I do want to do. So I'm going to make this 2 measures. Notice you can go up to 16 measures. Quite a long set of bars or measures for one pattern. I'm going to have a 2 measure pattern here, and we're going to leave it on 4/4. Okay. Short press on that button, and then a long press on the record stop button. And I'm going to record the bass drum part first of all, which is mainly 8th notes. In fact, it's all 8th notes. And so I'm going to change the quantize to make sure my timing is accurate. And now I can just press start and stop, and it'll cycle through for 2 measures, and I can play the bass drum part. And you can hear it started the cycle again. Now I can play the snare drum. I'm going to use this snare drum sound here. The other thing you can do at this point as well, if a part is particularly difficult, you can change the tempo, slow it down. It's not a problem, because when you speed it up, the timing will improve and be more accurate. So I've really slowed the tempo down to 70 beats per minute. So let's do the snare drum part, which is here. Short press, and these are quarter notes. I'm not going to change the quantize, so a long press, but I could if I wanted to. No need. Here we go. And it cycles round again. I could leave it on cycle and then just play the other parts as well, rather than stopping and starting each time. But I'm just showing you this kind of process that you go through. Let's do the hi-hat part, which again is just mainly quarter notes. There's a little open hi-hat at the end. Short press says it's recorded, but we're overdubbing onto the other parts we've already recorded. Do a long press quantize. I'm going to leave it on eighths because there is a quaver at the end of the bar. Press start and stop. It'll give me the 1 bar count in. And that's it. That's variation 1 recorded. I'm now going to do variation. I'm going to do the fill for variation 1. So fill 1. So press this button, and now it says F1 on the screen. Press the registration button 8. It goes to element. Press enter, and I want this to be 1 measure long. I still want the beat to be 4. Press exit a couple of times. Press record stop briefly. It says it's empty because this is a new pattern. It's a fill pattern. Do a long press. And I'm going to just do the bass drum part first of all. So I'm going to leave quantize on 8th notes. Press start and stop, and away we go. I'm going to keep it going in record mode. I'm going to do the hi-hat. And I'm going to press stop because the next part I'm going to do is the snare and the tom-toms, which is very similar to the pattern we had at the beginning. And that means it's got 16th notes, so I need to change the quantize setting. So short press, it says it's recorded, which it is, but I'm going to overdub, change the quantize, so that was a long press on record stop, change it to a value of 8, which is 16ths, press start and stop. If you make a mistake, as I said, you can erase. So I'm going to hold down registration. And then hold down the notes that you made a mistake with at the same time and let it cycle through the whole pattern. I'll do it again, recording. And that's the fill 1 done. Now we're going to move on to variation 2. So press V2 or 2 on the rhythm controller here. It's now saying V2 on the screen. V2 is a very simple pattern again. In fact, having a quick look through, they're all 8th notes or quarter notes, so there's no 16th to worry about until we get to the fill. So I'll do the bass drum part, snare drum, and then the hi-hat all in one take, or overdubbing each time. So a short press, it says it's empty, which it is. And I'm going to change the quantize value just to make sure my timing is absolutely spot on. Press start and stop. Actually, before we do that, let's come away from there. What we didn't do, we need to change this to a 2 measure. So press registration 8, element, press enter, make sure it's 2 measures, and it's 3, which means 4/4. Yep, here we go then. Short press on record stop, long press on short stop, record stop. Here we go, press start and stop. and there's the pattern recorded. The other thing that the keyboard has advantage, this keyboard over my old Yamaha drum machine, is it's velocity sensitive. So each part can have its own velocity. So when I'm playing the hi-hat, I can really sort of accent some of the notes. On the Yamaha drum machine, whenever you put an accent in, it accented everything on that particular beat. So now carrying on then with fill 2. It says empty, and I've got the drum parts ready, and in fill 2 there are a few 16th notes to deal with. So let's just check the quantize here is set to 16ths. That's fine. And we're on a 1-bar element, 1 measure, and still on 4/4. Everything looking good. So first of all, I'll record the bass drum, which is just down here on the bottom note. Press start and stop. I must remember to press record, short press, and then a long press. Now press start and stop. You'll notice there, I wasn't sure on some of the rhythms, so I let it just keep going round a few times until I made sure I knew where I was going to place the notes. So here comes variation 3, V3 on the screen. Press from registration 8, get it onto the number of measures, 2 measures for 3, variation 3. Short press. Long press. Now I'm going to leave it on quantize 16th because there's a lot of 16th notes to deal with. Again, I've got the tempo quite low, slow to allow me to get the notes in. Sounds pretty good. And then fill 3, press 3, so now it says F3 on there. Short press and then a long press. It will automatically have defaulted to 1 measure. Now we're on another pattern. When I was recording the bass drum part, I noticed it had a slight phasing effect, almost as if I played two notes at the same time, were very close together. So I deleted that just by holding down registration, pressing the note I wanted to delete, and then I redid the bass drum part. Now here comes variation 4. Press registration, element, enter, change it to 2 measures. Short press on record stop, long press, press start and stop. And now variation 4, the fill-in for 4. So press there, it says F4, short press, long press, leave it on quantize 16ths. And then finally ending, press E. So it says E on the screen. This is a 3-bar ending. So press registration 8, press enter, change it to 3 measures. And then go back, short press, it says it's empty, long press, leave the quantize as it is, press start and stop. Okay, I made a couple of mistakes on the bass drum, so I erased those. And that's everything. So now that we've done that, we can press exit. It says, do you want to exit? And you say yes. Do you want to write? We'll say yes. And that's done. It doesn't have a name at the moment, so let's name it. So record stop, long press, press enter. Let's call it patterns. So use the wheel, or you can use plus and minus to select your character that you need. Whoops, P. And you've got uppercase and lowercase characters and numbers and other symbols as well. Use the 1 and the 3, the arrows, to move along the line. And then find the character you want, and then move to the next one. I'm just going to abbreviate this a little bit. Just give that patterns like that, and we'll give this a number. Where the number's here. And then press enter. It shows you that it says enter on the screen. Are you sure? You say yes, and that's done. So we've now got a complete set of rhythms recorded in here. My tempo is still low, so let's bring that up a little bit. So here's the intro. Variation 1, 2 bars. And then here comes the fill. Variation 2. And then fill. Variation 3. And the fill. Variation 4. And the fill. And the ending. There we have it. And now you can play along to that. Obviously, you know, this is an accompaniment on an accompaniment arranger type keyboard, so there could be bass parts and chord parts and percussion. But as I showed you earlier, I just felt it was a good way of showing you that this is really quite a powerful drum machine, and not worry too much about accompaniments. And if you play a little bit, you can do that. I've got a little sound already set up here. I've got an electric piano, which I've panned hard to one side, and then I've put a layer of a clavinet on one side. And then you can play along with your... So there we are. I hope you found that useful. And if you've got a CT-X3000 or a 5000 and you're thinking of getting one, then have a go at producing your own rhythm patterns. Thanks for watching.